Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. Be sure to check me out over on Rumble. There you'll find all of my stuff from YouTube, plus my political and social commentary and weekly current events, which YouTube frowns on. Links to my Rumble channel, as well as my other YouTube channels, and links to let you order my books are in the description of this video. If you enjoy my content, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. Now, on with the video. Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an advanced Dungeons & Dragons advice video on caravans and expeditions. Before I get into the video, however, I'd like to tell you about my new book. The House Off Farrago Road is now available on Amazon. The author's name is H.L. Anderson, that's me. It's just a fun story about a house where the denizens are not quite normal. Mythological creatures and supernatural forces commingle with modern-day law enforcement and the criminal underworld. If the quirky weird piques your interest, check out The House Off Farrago Road. It's, like I said, available on Amazon. I hope you enjoy it. All right, let's get on with this video here. Caravans and expeditions. One of the more prevalent situations in advanced Dungeons & Dragons is when the player characters hire on to a caravan or an expedition. I've been playing Dungeons & Dragons for over 45 years, and I have literally lost count of the number of times player characters have been hired for such activities. There are distinct differences between caravans and expeditions, and each has their own requirements. In this video, I'm doing land-based trips. I'm not doing ocean voyages. I may do that later if this video's popular. I may do that later. But for this one, it's all land-based. A caravan is usually traveling from one city to another along an established road or trade route. Most likely, the player characters will be hired on as guards. That's pretty common. This means that the caravan operators will most likely provide food and transport, probably riding in carts or wagons. Very rarely are they going to splurge for a horse, an extra horse for, because that's an expense. And if it's a caravan, chances are it's merchants, and merchants are out to make a buck. And if the more they spend on the trip, the less profit they make. And that's the whole point of business, is making profit. The player characters will be expected to defend the caravan against bandits or other threats, and that's their job, right? Since most trade routes follow rivers or regular water holes, water will not usually be an issue. Caravans through the desert, they know where the water holes are, and they're going to pick a route to the city they're heading for that follows those water holes, so water shouldn't be an issue. Pay or recompense for such a job will not generally be extravagant. As I said, merchants are out to make a profit. The less a penny saved is a penny earned, that kind of thing. An expedition, on the other hand, is a very, very different thing. If the player characters are hired on to guard the expedition, then the situation may be very similar to a caravan. They're there to protect the wagons and such, and, that's that. If the player characters are planning and executing the expedition themselves, many factors will need to be considered. A lot of players buy what they need, what they think they need, and then they just head on out. Each person buys their own stuff, and then they head out. Sometimes that doesn't work. Many factors are going to be Many factors will need to be considered. If the expedition is into unexplored areas, then water, food, and other necessities, I'm tongue-tied today, will need to be brought along. Wagons are going to need to be procured along with draft animals and the means to feed and water them. If the terrain is uncertain, it might be better to purchase a number of pack animals to carry their gear. Either way, it depends on the terrain and the size of the thing. If the expedition is exploratory, then the wagons can be discarded when empty and the excess draft animals slaughtered for food. If the expedition is to retrieve treasure, then the wagons and draft animals will need to be preserved even when the supplies they carry are exhausted. After all, such a treasure, any treasure, big treasure in this game, is sure to be a voluminous amount and will require the empty wagons. Otherwise, what's the point of the expedition? If you're going to get treasure and you don't have the means to bring the treasure back, what's the point? Those wagons are going to come in necessary. You fill the wagons with your supplies. You use, say, hypothetically, you use half of the stuff to get there. Well, half your wagons are empty. You can fill that with treasure and use the rest of the supplies to come back. You see what I'm saying? Hopefully, you'll have enough treasure to make it worthwhile. The supplies in the wagons should contain iron rations, which will last a long time. Standard rations don't last but about a week. Iron rations last a long time, and that would be your preference. You can save a couple of gold pieces by getting a week's worth of rations per person of standard rations and use that first, and then go to the iron rations after. But it's up to you how you want to do it. Just make sure you've got food to feed everybody. That's the main thing. And you can hunt along the way. That's cool. But what if there's nothing to hunt? You're going to need water barrels, oil, extra weapons and ammunition, like spears, arrows, bolts, etc. Whenever I plan an expedition, I always got like 3 extra spears per person in the expedition. Even the magic users and like that, because a magic user, when he runs out of spells, he's still a body. He can pick up a spear and use it. He sucks at it. He's got minuses, but he should have a decent dex for throwing spears. You know what I'm saying? Darts, spears, arrows, that kind of thing. You're going to need tinderboxes, rope, 10-foot poles for checking the ground ahead of the wagons and animals. You don't want to lose critters or wagons in a bog, sinkholes or whatever. You're going to need sacks for carrying things, because there's always stuff to carry. Worst come to worst, an empty sack can burn. You can burn it. You can use it as a fire starter, kindling. Lanterns and or torches. Ale or wine to be used as antiseptics and other medical supplies, painkillers, that kind of thing. You're going to need horse grain to feed the draft animals. Tools, blankets, mirrors, tarps, tents, and any other necessities the player characters may need. Excuse me. Drink of coffee. Also, paper and quill for mapping and charting might be necessary and actually preferable. Let me explain. If you're going to explore an area and you're mapping along the way, that means when you get back, that map is valuable information for the local king or whoever. They don't have to send another expedition to go search that area to explore it, because you already have. That map becomes valuable property you can then sell. You see what I'm saying? And make copies, because everybody's going to want a copy. Don't forget the chests and the crates to contain all of your supplies within the wagons. The last thing you want to do is pile everything in a big pile in your wagon, because then you got to dig through it to find what you need. It's in this chest. There you go. There it is. That kind of thing. Such expeditions are generally quite costly, and it may be necessary to secure the finances of a patron or benefactor for funding. Such a benefactor will undoubtedly demand a stiff percentage of any treasure that you recover. If the expedition is exploratory in nature, several cartographers will be needed to make the maps and such, which will certainly, any benefactor will certainly want. Pay for any hirelings, including the cartographers, will need to be stipulated ahead of time. That's one thing that people don't generally go into. They agree verbally to pay X amount per person. I'm hiring guards at 5 gold or whatever. That's fine. 5 gold a week. Okay, cool. And then at the end of the trip, well, here's your 1 gold per week. Wait, you said 5? No, I didn't. I said 1. You have witnesses? That kind of thing. It's better to get it all in writing and make sure your character has a copy. You got to stipulate all this in writing before anyone is actually hired. Attracting prospective employers might require notices, putting up notices in town, or the hiring of town criers. If you don't know what a town crier is, he walks through the city announcing things. So-and-so is hiring men for an expedition. He wants so many of this and so many of that. He needs cartographers. He needs clerics. He needs this and needs that, that kind of thing. And if interested, inquire at such and such inn, that kind of thing. As you can see, caravans and expeditions are two very different situations. Caravans might be as simple a thing as temporary employment. Expeditions could be temporary employment or a serious investment requiring weeks or even months or years of planning and preparation in game time. As a dungeon master, a serious expedition may very well be the basis of a significant story arc in your campaign. It might even be a reasonable way to gather the player characters into a group to initially start your campaign. There's a lot of ways to do it, and there's a lot of ways not to do it. The trick is to find something that will pique the interest of all of your players' characters. The last thing you want is, you got 6 players, 4 of them are like, yeah, we want to join this caravan to go do this, blah, blah, blah. We're going to be guards and get paid for it. The other 2 go, I don't want to go there. I want to go over here. That kind of thing. It's got to be something they're all interested in, that they will all be motivated to join. Okay? I've generally found that broke player characters will hire on to do just about anything. Just saying. I did a number of videos on that. The Adventureless game, I think I called it. Anyway, go check those out. I hope this helped. I hope my advice videos help. I really do. Feel free to use, abuse, or ignore whatever information I give. Remember, the key factor is to have a game that your players enjoy. As a dungeon master, that's your job. If your players aren't having fun, that's the only way you can fail. As long as they're having fun, you did it right. All right? I hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good one. God bless one and all. Clarissa Lowe, a historian from the future. Delmore Kane, a Civil War veteran turned outlaw. This oddball pairing faces a conspiracy of epic proportions spanning the centuries. If you like action and adventure westerns with a splash of science fiction and fantasy, check out my book series Drifters and their ongoing adventures.